progress. Um, is there a way to like move the camera up or?
Yeah.
Go to camera control
Oh, here. Oh,
and we'll switch it.
I did
Okay,
it.
it's on auto framing.
okay. Oh, good. Perfect. All right. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and call a meeting of the MN Spear Library Reuse Committee to order. Today is Thursday, December 4th, 2025.
Probably not.
What's that?
18th.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm looking at the minutes. Thank you. I was wishing it was December 4th. So, December 8th.
Gonna speed through this.
Time.
God. Thank you. Thursday, December 18th. And we have our agenda in front of us. So let me just quickly run through what's on the agenda. And then if there's anything unanticipated that we need to add, let me know. So we have minutes from December 4th, 2025. We're going to talk about CAD drawings and potential for room reconfigurations within the town halls. Susie, I'm hoping you can give an update about from the Council on Aging. And Stephen Elmas is going to talk to us about code requirements. I'm going to report back on both my conversation with Marianne Antonellis and what I didn't add, and I'd like to just add is an update on my discussion with our acting police chief, Devin Pelletier, about what he found out with regards to, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So there's you have a one page, what he found out with regards to certification from police around the space, around the office space. Any unanticipated business?
And are you gonna be able to give something on the mass save?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. And I can give you an update on the mass save too. So why don't I do that? I'll do that. So mass save and Devin within my report back. And then just schedule the next meeting date. So I just to start before we launch into the agenda, I just wanted to mention that I had been asked about public comments, public discussion. You know, we're not routinely doing public comments at this meeting. This is really a working group and we have lots to do. I think, you know, if we have visitors, we'll try to be judicious about any comments during the course so that we don't get off course. You know, unanticipated business, I don't know, maybe we can, each time I want to raise when we might feel ready doing some sort of more public hearing or whatever you want to call it about where we've gotten to. So that being said, the first item is are the minutes from December 4th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, are there any additions, deletions?
One minor thing
Yep.
on the very last page under administrative actions says motion to talk with DEP.
You did.
Yeah, I think I had
Okay,
to at least look up some DEP information on alternative Title V systems.
Okay.
So I think that's what that was
Yep.
supposed to be.
okay. Okay, any other changes?
No.
Okay. With that change in mind, what do you made a motion, right?
Yes. I second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the December 4th, 2025 minutes?
As amended.
Alice, aye.
Lion's eye.
Moser, aye.
So to know, this is my first 3 town meetings today, so I feel like, and I have other stuff in between. Oy, feeling a little scattered. So, why don't we start out? Looks like Stephen has presented us with, a,
Yeah, if you look at the second
Yeah.
level we're on. You'll see we're created a
Okay, good.
small hallway,
Yep.
and an entrance into the 2 spaces,
Right.
entrances into the 2 spaces.
Mhm.
Our current room, and then, what's the senior lounge, and then reducing the size of the kitchen and creating a closet.
oh, great.
And then just quickly, if you look at the first page, I took out the office in the current police
Right.
office. And, just looking at that, I said, oh, well, you could make that larger space the conference room, and the conference room could become the clerk's. I don't know how much space the clerk earns, but it would give you,
So
the option of that.
oh, I see. Oh, so you're moving things around. Okay.
Well, this is
This is
upstairs.
upstairs.
So the only thing that was done here is, let me show you.
Oh, I have it turned around. Okay, I got to do it this way. Right.
Just saying, we could think about switching the police and the conference room. Because it would then be the
Right,
TV.
you look at this, Rita, right
Yeah.
here. So I just had these removed,
Oh, okay.
and then these openings which exist created.
Oh, okay.
So
All
that,
right.
that's, and downstairs, you can see, if you look at this also, what was,
Right. So the utility room would always be accessed through this bigger room because this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the one question I had, was looking at initially as well. It's, if you're bringing something in from the outside, you got to go through 4 doors. You can get it into the utility rooms.
Right.
And you got to go around a 90-degree turn, into the big space over
Or
there
you can
too.
come in through this door,
Or you can.
Which doors are they?
the outside door.
Oh, the outside
Yeah.
door, yeah.
There's a wider door.
Right.
Right, right. And you just go across the room.
Yeah.
On the edges.
I mean, another option would be just to move this door to this wall, I suppose. So then you at least would have.
Well, the
straight
reason
shot.
I didn't do that, we talked about this a little bit, is like, assuming this became the police office, this might seem a little bit more private, but the door could certainly be there. The one thing that's nice, in my opinion, about the door here is that this space starts to become a place where you could put some storage.
So you have a wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Were you looking for the storage?
Well,
Oh,
right here, and
Uh-huh.
as much as you want along here, so that this space has grown a little, well, quite a bit,
yes,
into this kind of space, but you have all this that could be storage, but as soon
Right.
as you put the entry here, then
oh,
you need to kind of
right,
allow for movement here, and then,
right.
I mean, you could, I guess, go with storage along here, but
Right.
And are all of these openings, ADA compliant?
They would be,
They
yeah.
would be, okay.
Yeah.
So so these 2 rooms would be exactly the same.
Yeah, on the first, the upper level, the only
Yeah.
thing that's changing is the partitions or in the police are being removed, so you now have a single larger space,
Right,
and you could make decisions about, I mean, that space could certainly be divided up, but would that be, if this became police, and that's senior center and voting area, right? this upstairs would
Would be.
be a nice sized conference room.
Right,
I mean, it's
Right.
not that much smaller than, the downstairs.
And
And then the conference room could be repurposed, maybe as clerks or,
right. Okay,
And in that former police space, you would think about the list of people who are currently in the conference room, just land
Yes.
use clerk, which.
And Board of
once-
Health.
And conscom stuff, and Board of Health and that's it. But the clerk moving up the stairs could open up that space, that small space,
Yeah.
which could be for like the land use clerk, who
Mhm.
might help
Right.
consolidate that
Temporary,
stuff.
more temporary people, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
So I guess, the next step would just be counting bodies and making sure that we haven't forgotten anybody.
right.
and give you the feedback.
Just like Haley wouldn't need that big of an office. That's a pretty big office.
Which one are you talking about?
20?
Former
come up-
police?
The,
Conference room.
oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm mixing that up. So the big office now is the assessor.
Right.
Tax collector.
Yes.
Okay.
And that wouldn't change, that big office, or would you think?
Well, I mean,
Figure it a little bit, maybe.
It's certainly not out of the picture. My interest here was just showing
Yes,
if you remove the police department, you have
Right.
this one larger space, which
Yep.
could be, I mean, we can put partitions almost anywhere.
Yeah.
And we really should call this one near the elevator storage. It truly is
One
not
near
an
the
office.
I mean, 202?
212.
212.
Oh. That's probably what was on that was probably an office previously.
Not for a long time, but anyways.
Well,
Oh,
all
long
these,
time.
well,
Old, real.
2002
Yeah.
set of drawings
Well,
that
that had
Wilson
historical,
used. This apparently was, yeah, but that's storage.
right.
That was the bathroom, correct?
Once upon a time?
Or was it Haley's office?
So Haley's office and your office were the boys and girls bathrooms.
So where it says office, Susie, what you're talking?
on 212,
That-
labeled
12.
That's really
Okay,
the
that's
storage.
right. Okay. And I think, one of the things we will look at when we're starting to like place people is that we really wanted to give the town clerk bigger space.
Right.
'Cause it's really
Yeah.
inadequate
It
right now.
is, it's 12.4 by 20, in the current conference room. And
Right.
some of the stuff can be taken out of there. Here's another concept of moving stuff around, is you might think about using the corridor outside the former police in the conference room or the copier and sort of office things, because that corridor's wide enough to be ADA to allow a workspace there. And then that keeps the town clerk from hopping down the stairs or using the
Mhm.
lift every time.
Right.
So if that does that, then the copier room could be used for either just storage, which may be true if the town clerk's space isn't big enough, but in the conference room, but it's kind of like a work in progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thought, I don't know how much more space the clerk would like, but if you took the conference room and say the clerk has like this part,
Mhm.
and as you come in the door, and there'd be a partition, so that could be shut off. There'd be the copier, and then there could be storage. And then a door to her.
So much interaction with the public
Right.
needs to have some way of doing that. So currently a table's there in the
Okay,
hallway, but that is actually probably not okay. 'Cause
Well,
the
we
lift-
took the table out
I see.
because it
because
was,
the lift,
yeah.
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 And so, so there's functions and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it is significantly bigger then it's more than twice as big as the current thing now.
Right.
And one thing the town clerk's office ends up doing is having projects where you have to have a table and spread out.
Right.
And so they can figure it out.
And if we have a good, meeting space upstairs,
right.
you know, at the table, then
Yeah.
that's potentially could
Yep.
be used.
Yeah, and it's right next door and it's
Right.
not carrying everything down here.
So that's great. And now we have this, so we could shift things around.
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah, I mean,
needed.
yeah, you see what I do with Pat, so, you know, she did the original
Yeah.
drawings and then I just mark them up
Oh, yeah.
and scan them and
She-
send them to her.
Uh-huh.
And then she
Great.
sends me back the finished, so anything that we, and then I'm pretty certain keeping these, like, we'll say there's
Version 1.
version 1, version
Right.
2, all the way along.
Yeah,
Um,
great.
so, yeah, any additional changes we want to make, I will make them on these and then send them off to her.
So was,
Right. No, go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, was he thinking that new larger space in there would serve for like select board meetings and bigger public meetings, or,
We talked
It's
about the
Council on
select
Aging.
board going that way.
I'm
We
sorry,
talked about the select board going over to the library space and becomes another meeting space. I mean,
Like a-
wherever you set that up, or, you know, that arrangement. So,
we're talking about the old library.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
the new library.
and so,
Talk about that too, yeah.
and the select board leading as that's a decent meeting space and here you are and here's the equipment over there. I feel like, and I can talk about my conversation with Susan Mill.
Mm.
I think that we have floated the idea of the old library being a meeting space.
And there's still interest by the police department, which we'll see from my conversation with Devin. Can we just run through, make sure I'm not missing everybody that we need to accommodate? So town clerk, town administrator, administrative assistant, land use clerk, accountant, tax collector, assessors, treasurer, and then police. Did I miss anybody?
What the hell?
Oh, Board of Health.
And the-
Cons-
the-
Conscom,
Well, that's the land use clerk. That's
that's only how that goes.
too much. He works for the Conservation Commission, so he does all of their
So
work.
everything else is remote and there's no stuff that they have.
There's stuff. There's lots of stuff. That whole thing, I think, is
Yeah.
Conservation Commission
Yeah.
stuff, but in
Okay.
terms of bodies.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really thinking.
Well, it's called bodies and workspace, right?
Yeah, but they don't come in and
Okay.
work. Yeah. I'm sorry, did you say somebody
And
else?
then the public nurse.
Oh, the public nurse. Yep. Thanks, Devin. Nurse. So town clerk, town administrator, administrative assistant, land use clerk, accountant, tax collector, assessors, treasurer, board of health, public nurse, and police.
Elections. I mean, what are we doing? I'm trying to figure out how big this picture is.
Well, elections, I'm not talking about activities, I'm talking about bodies. Like
Okay.
who do we need space for? That's, in the town hall on a regular basis. So I think, periodic, somebody needing space to assemble newsletters, whatever it is. We now have some common spaces that could serve that purpose. Or, if somebody from tax collector, if she needs a big space, we could reserve, one of the meeting rooms, that sort of thing. But, I don't want to give somebody a or say you had this huge office.
Right.
And once or twice a
Right.
year, you need a lot of space. It doesn't make any sense. So that, can we just run through sort of very generally where people might be?
You want to hear from the COA? Their perspective.
Well, I think all these people would be upstairs, right?
Not the public nurse.
Not the point.
Not the police, right? But if we were just doing the upstairs, can we assign and just make sure we have enough space? So this one right now, this big office, well, let's start. We have the clerk here. And my sense is that the clerk space, one of the things I remember hearing from Grace was like, if she could have had like more of a counter, and I know you had it set up when you were in there was a counter, then the table got moved out, and then we were blocking our ADA accessibility, not a good thing. So, we took the table out of there. The other issue I know that Grace talked about was being the first eyes on somebody coming into the building, and that was kind of disruptive at times, and people were assuming that she could help them do whatever they needed,
Yeah.
what it is to do. So, it might make more sense not to lay that on the clerk, but rather, people, this is an office. People are going to move into the hallway and then get help, that either Brennan's here 4 days a week. Haley's here, there are other people, Ellen's around a lot. So it's not, just something to think about.
The signs aged out. I don't even know what they are. We don't look at them, but there hasn't been good, accurate signage. And
Yeah.
you can direct people if
Yes.
there's a clear path.
Yes.
And then you also have to decide what those roles and responsibilities are.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Right. I think there's better signage now. I mean, I know you have signage on the doors,
Yeah.
but we don't have
Yeah.
there are a lot of places you have the thing kind
So
of.
people can look up
they
and
know
figure out where to
where
go.
to go. But, so could we just place people, and this is very, very preliminary, but where would we see the town clerk going?
I think it's in the current conference room, which doesn't have a number, but.
Yeah. Can we put a number on that, like all the other rooms?
Okay.
Those,
Oh, yeah,
it
actually.
would be
that's a
helpful.
Good
to
idea.
use the numbers.
What's that?
I see the clerks coming to the park.
Yeah, well, it has the,
That's
it
the-
has that counter.
That can be moved.
I
could
could
be.
also see the collector going there because she says he wants a counter as well.
I just want to make sure we have enough. Yeah, all right, let's put the people we know definitely where they go. Like, we would leave the town accountant in the office on the end of the hall.
202.
202.
Accountant?
Okay, that's accountant. And then we would leave the TA where she currently is, and
In,
207.
yeah, I don't know all these things, so it's.
oh, sorry, yep. And then 206, admin, assistant. We're gonna just check people off as we, accountant. And land.
Assessors are in 206.
Office.
Oh, 8.
208. So if we had left the assessors there. I think we could put the town treasurer down where the clerk is. I mean, he's
Yeah.
rarely here. It would be always you know, people would just be forced to.
Or
go.
if we move the workstation out into the hallway, he could be in the copier space. I mean, he's so not there. And then the
So
town
people
clerk,
go through his office, get to the bathroom.
yeah, but he's not there, as opposed to putting the land use clerk in in number 211, where the PC
I'll
is.
see, yeah.
But you don't need him to deal with the toilet traffic, but
It's,
the treasurer could be in 210.
yeah,
And then that gives Ellen the ability to push back push across the room into her space to do a counter.
does the treasurer need secure space? Because if it's open with a bathroom there, the question is.
There's the hall closet. Oh, that's probably what this picture is. There's actually a hall closet past the administrative assistant's office, and I think in this picture it's reversed. Is that right, Brennan?
It's between that,
Stairs.
I think it's right
In
here.
the elevator.
I think it's that little nook right between.
Oh, yeah, there is a little.
Oh, that's the closet.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can see the
Right.
tiny.
So what do you think this little dead space between room 206 and 208 is?
Between
What is that?
6.
I know that Ellen has a bit of a closet off of her space, so that might be one of
I don't
them.
know. I don't know what that is.
That might be one of them. Yeah, and her closet is,
Well, on the TA, the TA's office, the chimney
that's the
is
X.
in that
Right.
space.
And then there's shelving.
But on the administrative assistant between 206 and 208,
Even got a window.
got. No, there, oh, I'm sorry.
That's an office.
This,
Nice little office.
this is a closet.
In her closet, she
From
has.
the assessment.
reflector.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
there's a door there that's not showing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's right there. And then if we talk about secure space and her space is getting rearranged, maybe that space is secure enough for treasurer records or in the closet with the window. But then there's another dead space. I don't know what the hell that is. That's where the children.
I'll take a hammer to my wall. and see what's behind it.
That's a good idea. Okay, so we have that
Oh, yeah, something to
treasurer.
do with urinals.
We have,
Plumbing, yeah.
So treasurer in
And
210, is that what we
Yes.
are doing for now?
Yeah. And land use clerk is across the hall.
211.
Do we want to, for right now, do we give numbers to the conference room and the?
Yeah, let's do
That would be helpful.
How
Yeah.
about 212 for the conference room and 213 for the police?
Okay.
No, we got a 212 down the hall. So let's go up to 213.
Uh, 213 for
14.
conference, yeah,
213 and 14?
214.
yeah.
So we have in this, let's say in this space, in 208, I'm gonna use my numbers.
Yeah.
In 208, we have the assessors and tax collector. We could build a
The counter and put
a
your
counter for her. Right. And that takes care of everybody, right?
We haven't put the clerk anywhere yet.
Town clerk, 214,
Wait,
or maybe do 213 for the clerk and then 214 uses a conference room.
does that conference room, would we envision it to be tech ready or
Yes.
that would be tech
I
ready?
think so, yeah, depending upon what we end up doing with other space, but
So are you thinking in that paradigm, is that more accessible as a meeting space than the library? The old library? It's 16
Yes.
by 20.
it's always with the I'm gonna call it the Spear building from now on. Parking's an issue there, so I think you can get like 4 cars, 5 cars, maybe there's a handicap space.
5, 6.
but it's tight, you know, and you don't want people parking on the common. So, and one of the things, you know, we've talked about with any use of that building across the way, it's obviously not, especially if you had a night meeting, not people crossing the street.
Yeah.
So. So 214 again is,
Conference meeting, tech ready.
Although, you know, there is that storage closet
Hey, which one did you?
in 214 that, you know,
Yeah.
there is,
just wondering if
I wonder if that's,
be made better use of with that closet space there, you know, or just use it for storage in general for, you know, miscellaneous stuff.
so the town clerk needs secure storage, right?
Yes, because of all the election stuff. It
Yeah.
has to get locked
So
away.
town clerk in here.
And what did you call that number? 214?
Yeah, I made it 214 and I made conference room 213.
Okay.
Then
Oh, wait a minute. So you're
No.
putting the clerk in the larger space?
We're just
I was just
bumping around right
bumping
now.
around
Oh, yeah.
now. Yeah,
The advantage of
I-
that is there's a secure storage, which election materials have to be stored securely.
But
You
it
think
would be
that
pretty
conference
easy to
room is
put in.
too small, with everything out of that room, a 12 by 20 space is pretty,
Pretty, what?
it's pretty good for a small meeting. Because now,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, you mean here?
yeah, let's say this was a conference room, town clerk, and we could always, I guess, I don't know if town clerk and tax collector would work. I mean, they're both there a lot, so it's, I don't know how just, you know, if we decided we needed to keep that copier room and put the treasurer back into that assessor's space. All right, well, that's close enough. I think we have everybody covered. We have enough room for everybody upstairs.
And we have a model of, we're thinking the primary meeting space that's being replaced from down here is in room 213. And the overflow meeting, which that, if we ever get back to in person, that would use the Spear.
Yeah, so
But again, a number of tech stations that we need to do this.
then if that's the case, if that was going to be the primary space, because, you know, for, let's say the select board, we could have 10 people. And we might want to do it here versus somewhere else. Yes, this upstairs. Yeah, so maybe the town, is 13, we swap that, make this conference room and a multi-purpose room.
In room 14.
Yeah,
Okay, and then we build some secure storage for
Yeah.
the
we could
TC.
even move that wall a little bit, you know, we could build a closet that bumps into that, into 214. Okay. That makes sense.
Where Board of Health's gonna go, so you already moved it.
Board of Health, I think what we would want to do is maybe put them. I don't know if it's weird to put them in with the tax collector and the assessors. I mean, again, there's nobody here on a regular basis, right?
They have a lot of files.
They have a lot of files.
So when we think about room. Oh, now, so we're thinking, we're not deciding. The room with the most amount of space
Is,
needs to have space for the Board of Health files, which
Yeah.
are physical, and there's, I don't know, a bank of how many. And Conscom, before they, I don't know where it's at now, but Conscom had a lot of filing stuff, boxes and boxes. So it seems Board of Health and,
that's land
Or-
clerk. When you said
Well,
Conscom, I think land. use
yeah,
clerk.
except for I'm just talking about not the work, but the storage. So,
What if the land use clerk went in and the Board of Health went into 211 and then the land use clerk went into 208. That's a pretty big room. That is the biggest room here. And we only right now have two people who are here on a regular basis, land use clerk. And you have to do some sound, deal with some sound stuff.
If we stay with the idea that the conference, that room 214 is the biggest, then it could be a meeting conference space and have the land use clerk
That's true.
in it and the storage of the stuff for the Board of Health. So the conference room wouldn't be affixed for only meetings. It would be a room kind of like it is now. It has functions like storing and office work for land use, Board of Health. And that bigger space would allow you to have the setup for a meeting that, a table,
Mhm.
the unit.
And it's got the secured storage for the Board of Health, as
Yeah.
part of that space. So I like that idea.
Let's say that again. So that
214.
214 becomes a conference room, Board of Health.
Yeah.
Board of Health, because nobody's here on a regular basis.
And it
It's a
could-
secure storage.
And it could have the land use because they have a lot of files and that's the bigger room to store things to.
But why not across the hall in 208? Because we only right now have assessors and tax collectors. Tax collectors.
Could have the files, I think that the door, the tax collector and the history of walking in there, that's how that sets in people's minds and in Ellen's mind. If you're gonna have somebody else
Right.
coming and going for files, they would be in the back of that room where the treasurer is now. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, you can always store stuff there, but it is the traffic of a tax collector office, and that's not always something you want to have. There's a level of privacy
Yeah.
that's needed.
Although it doesn't have it now because Leslie's there. So. I'm just saying the
Just
assessor's
saying.
there. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. Right.
I don't know if we've talked about this before. Have you thought about? So I think the town clerk makes the most sense for 214 because we need to keep the vital records secure, and at some point we want to get a vault for those records, which I think we're actually mandated to have. What if you put the treasurer into 211, because then that's secure. I don't know that you would want him to have the office with the bathroom in the back, because people shouldn't be walking through his office with all the cash and all the thing, the personnel files that he has to keep secure. I think you would want him to have more, better access to that.
But he's not here. I mean, he's not
Well,
here
that's-
during any.
We talked about that.
I don't know that you want people to walk through his office.
I see, yes,
If he's got
yeah.
cash on hand or
Right.
something. But I think that, so one other thing I can tell you is I did put in a capital request to do some automation of our filings. So that would include the Board of Health files. So if that got approved, theoretically, we could have all those records digitized. And you wouldn't need the excess storage space for that.
And I know that's what Mateo is doing with the planning board, and he's been scanning and digitizing. He's keeping paper when he needs to, but otherwise everything is gonna be, I mean, it's the way to go. We-
Yeah.
We
And
take
did
up a lot of
anybody
space.
find out for sure that the state records allows you to not have physical copies?
Yeah,
He did that for his
Sure.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's checked all of that. Well, I think, I don't want to try to micromanage this now. I mean, I think what we have is we have enough space, and how it gets, potentially how it gets tweaked, we can decide at some point in the future, but it's, that works. So,
It probably would be very helpful, at least for me at this point, to hear about the
Yeah.
Council on Aging perspective
Yeah.
and the new library
yeah, okay.
options.
Yep, sure. Yeah, Susie, you want to do?
So, I met with Susan Millinger, and I still need to meet with Jessica Makepeace. But our conversation with Susan, was there's no law that says the COA has to be in an exclusive space, although there is a law that says they can share their space with the Veterans Office and the public nurse. But, so that they would have that sort of anticipated. We don't have those two.
Mhm.
We do have the public nurse. She saw it, that they would want to be the deciders about, and people would come to them and say, I need the space for this or this and this. Kind of the way the library will be. There will be a person who you check in with, and then you go ahead and do it. She understands that it's not exclusive use, but it would be, they would be the traffic cop of it or
Right.
whatever. There are there are other possible things that they're gonna adventure into, the idea that they're more collaborative and integrated to village neighbors in terms of services that are being provided. In that space right now, there's the public health nurse, the COA luncheon, the foot clinic, and the foot clinic check-in. Because there's a certain amount of privacy for a foot clinic. There is been talk about a food pantry, which there's some stuff at the school that way. And so if the food pantry moved out of the school, which I think they want it to move out, then it might be that the kitchen provides the food pantry space. And then you have to think about how to organize that. There is. There's talk about how to, if, I guess Jessica Makepeace sees having food provided on a more regular basis, not just once a month for the senior luncheon. And
You
in
mean like a
like Life
Meals on
Path,
Wheels or?
yeah, Life Path provides it in in New Salem in the church basement. They bring Meals on Wheels to the New Salem church. That's where they do it. Leverett has a catered lunch. Jen Boron does that, and that one people pay something, and I don't know how frequent it is, but there's other models for food service. Some of those models are much more about need rather than
Right.
social interaction. Ours is a social interaction right now for us once a month senior. So that's a thinking, and it may end up using their room more regularly. And they would like to be able to access a broom and a dustpan, which whether you put that in the kitchen instead of the locked utility room might be helpful, just a little broom closet. And I guess that was it. So she understood what we were talking about. And I think that the process of making them the people you check in with and book the room, that will be sufficient. They will probably have some regular events that you wouldn't be able to bump the foot clinic. So you'd have to put your use in a calendar, and it would have some fixed dates. But she could see that as a model.
And then I'll just report what Mary Ann said. So I talked to her about what she was envisioning for the use of the community room at the new library. I think the capacity is 49, if I'm remembering it correctly. And there is potential overflow space in the lobby.
Correct.
So you could set, some chairs up there to make it a bigger space. They are in the process right now of developing a policy and guidance about use of the library. And so that's in the works, but it's not complete. But her vision and her understanding just from, discussions with the trustees, is that that's a community space, and that the first priority is always going to be any library activities. But thereafter, any other, town department, committee, that they would have a preference over, say, a private group or coming in, and that, we have, and she said, we've always talked about having this community space, and we expect that. So I said, for example, if the planning board had a hearing and they were anticipating 30 or 40 people showing up, you could see having the library said, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I said, I think there'd be a threshold where you move from, if you think it's more than 50, then we're gonna have to look at the school, or somewhere else. But I don't recall, other than, town meetings, and like special town meetings when, we'd have people down here, that we ever have that huge a group where we couldn't just say, okay, we need to make a plan. So the first, for meetings, the first thing would be town hall, the second, the library, the third, depending upon size, and then the third, the school. And so that, that provides a lot of assurance to boards and committees that there is a space, that we don't have to have a space in this building for a large group. And the night usage of the library, she's not anticipating it's going to be used that much, and we typically plan, and I know the boards do typically plan in advance. So I think that will, we could have some conflicts now and again, but with library activities, but she seemed to think it was a good and important use of the new library.
That sounds
So
good.
that takes some of the pressure off of here. And I guess the question becomes then, if we go to the lower level, so what the only change is really having this now pretty good size hallway storage area. Maybe it's, I don't know what.
Hallway is, I'm looking now. There's a wall on that pole. No,
It's two poles right there.
right, so this pole, in the wall, that hallway, I was thinking the chairs, things are gonna go in there, those cabinets aren't too deep.
You're
Filing.
talking about this space, Susie. You're talking like if we just did
If
a
we
dotted
put that
line.
wall
here.
there, and then look at that hall, what I noticed. Is that wall here, that door's here. I guess you could have stuff up against here that wouldn't block that door, but
Yeah,
this is closer than I thought.
yeah,
This,
Follow this line, yeah, you got about
yeah.
yeah.
feet.
Yeah, so I guess, I'm I'm sorry, I was talking to Dave, he's like, where's the chair going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is pretty deep space though, from that wall over to these posts, again, if we are really moving towards not having so much real estate dedicated to storage here, to paper storage, and, we have to think long-term about that. If we're digitizing stuff and/or we, look at the old town hall, for example, if really old records that we're not going to have to access very often can go over there. That's, that should free up space here.
So I did want to comment just on the Council on Aging report. And because, that becomes the biggest space in this building.
Yeah,
With
I know.
the new wall being put in, which makes sense for it to be, in my opinion, like a multi-function
Yeah,
room, especially for a lot of the functions that you described, foot clinic, the nurse, a food pantry, elections, all things that, you know, are not regular things that happen every week,
Yeah.
for example, but the scheduling becomes critical, obviously, but it makes sense to have a lot of different things going,
Yes.
potentially going on
Yes.
in that space. So
Right.
I like that idea.
Right.
And I totally agree that you need one coordinator, you know, to
Right.
do the scheduling and make sure you don't have conflicts. So,
But in that picture, I'm seeing things that are gonna get moved into that large space
Yeah.
as the chairs,
yeah,
those tables.
Yeah.
And we know some stuff is gonna be up against this wall that's a hallway, but we have to sort of see it realistically, even though we're opening up the space and it's bigger.
yeah,
We don't want to have a lot of stuff stored in it, or we
Right.
want to think about how to store stuff.
And if, again, if we're going post to post here,
Mhm.
post to post, right? And it starts by the doorway. That's a pretty, that's a long hall and a good deep space.
Right, up against it here. So
Right.
that they would come in and they could zig around the stuff that's stored and reach that door, but yeah, that's right.
But we don't
It's
have,
not too narrow.
but it's not open now, Susie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a wall here. So the question is, do you have another door here? And then,
Yeah, I don't think you need another door there. Because like we talked about, things would come in the outer door and traverse this room to get to the utility room.
right,
And
Right.
I just wanted to imagine the space with some of the stuff that would be stored there that's here. David said, oh yeah, you can bring those chairs over to the Spear. So, well,
Right.
yeah, okay. There are storage spaces. You just have to not end up sort of pushing it all over. That's.
Yeah, and you also
Yeah,
don't want
jumping.
to create, particularly with the utility room, I would think for purposes if there was a fire or, some event in there, you want to make sure the access is pretty
right.
straightforward.
I mean, you can easily imagine, I mean, just looking at these four posts right here,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, if everything behind me here was wide open,
right,
then you get, you know, real
Right.
access to that room to here.
yeah.
And then you've got this big.
Yeah, no, it goes all the way,
That's
yeah.
gonna be really useful for meetings and so forth, the posts right there. So, I mean, a lot of storage.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
In here.
Okay, so,
I guess I want to just say that, in history's time, the COA spaces ended up being a
Yeah.
collecting of things.
Yeah.
And so we have to not see it as open space for junk
Right.
stuff. And so as long and keep that sort of model in place.
okay, I think maybe it makes sense, Stephen, to have you, just report back if you got word from Jim Hawkins on,
Yeah, he was
Code
away
check?
last, week,
oh, no.
but
People have lives.
All right,
Oh,
really?
I was persistent. So here's what I've got. So if Spear is, say, kept as a meeting place,
Yeah,
but we change it from a composting toilet to a conventional bathroom, toilet and sink, that you have to go through the Board of Health.
Yeah.
And I think Paul had asked a question earlier about, in a previous meeting, about like how much before you have to bring things up to code.
right,
If you got the building. So if you just, strip the interior out, you're going to put new everything, then you got to bring it up to code. So as long as we don't really mess with the existing walls, because I asked about, I said, well, if we change it to offices,
right,
and I said, maybe 2 to 4 offices would be the most. So you got partitions, you got electricity for the receptacles. We're going to have a conventional bathroom, and then we'd probably have to consider upgrading and the heating, maybe another mini split or more. He didn't see that would trigger bringing it up to code. We're not gutting it. But, he did.
the change in use, which is what we had talked
Right.
about, is not a trigger if it's going, unless it's being gutted.
Well, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Gutting it then means bring it up to code. If you're changing use but not gutting it to do
Okay.
that.
And,
But
and we're just
he
talking
did-
about building codes here, not sanitation codes, right? In what you're talking about right now, other than
Correct.
the
Although I
boundary
did
thing.
talk to, forget the gentleman's name, Mr. French, I think,
Yeah.
plumbing
Oh.
inspector.
Mhm.
I'll get to that. But, he did, Mr. Hawkins did say, for any of this, you need plan, architect's plans, and you're going to need a permit. So then I also asked about town hall. If we're adding or removing partitions to redefine spaces, obviously electrical in those partitions possibly. And, if we do the kitchen, we might need to move a radiator, reorganize the existing kitchen. Again, his only thing was plans and permit.
Mhm.
Now, so also in talking with him, if the Spear was made into the police department, that's considered offices.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And then when I talked to the plumbing inspector, and I was asking about bathroom, he said, we need to know how many people are going to be using the space, because then there's a chart in the code where you figure out the load and then how many bathrooms.
size, and yeah.
Not the size of
Oh.
the bathroom, how many. The size,
that was our
any
concern.
bathroom has to be ADA.
Yeah, no, I meant size of septic system and all of that, but
Can you just repeat that? I got distracted.
There's a chart for use.
So
Yeah,
then,
so if you're gonna say make it into offices, so
Yeah.
police station or offices,
you need to.
then you have to determine how many people
Yeah,
are going to be,
okay.
and I don't know, is that like in there every day or what? But maybe you have to figure that out. And then in the code, there's a chart that you then use to determine how many bathrooms. And this morning, before I went to the new library for lighting training, I did go online and find the table, but I didn't go to, so I'm going to see if I can
Yeah.
find out any more there. So then, in addition, with my discussion with Mr. French, I explained there was this non-functioning composting toilet and we left it as a meeting place. Could we put a new composting toilet? He said the key there is the product has to be, quote, board approved. So apparently when you investigate the product, you'd find out,
Which board is that?
Where the hell?
probably Board of Health.
Okay.
well, DEP as well, yeah.
Yeah. And my guess is the sort of basic concept that Mary Jo was talking about probably would
Not gonna
not
work.
be
No.
board approved.
Yeah, I mean, something that was also mentioned to me, which I know was brought up at our last meeting, like if we had a composting toilet, who's emptying the,
Right.
and our custodian had been doing it over at the library. And it's really like a public health hazard a little bit, you're asking somebody to touch,
Right.
I think we have to put a bathroom
Yeah.
over there.
And I think, you made that comment
Yeah,
last meeting about, even if we could put a composting toilet in there, is that what we want? And I thought about it more and I agree.
yeah.
And Mary Ann made a very strong statement about if that was ever proposed, she would stand up and
Yeah,
voice her opposition
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
loudly.
Yeah. So it sounds like, if it was, say if it was offices, let's just talk about
Yeah.
the range, like, offices, there were gonna be 4 people in there every day, and then the public
Right.
coming in. That at some point we might pass a threshold where we have
Right.
to have more than one bathroom.
Right.
If it was the police department and there were 2 people
Mhm.
routinely in there, occasionally, somebody who's been arrested or of the public coming in just to transact some
Right.
business, but not not do a
Right.
lot there, then we could probably get away with one toilet.
Is there any gender issues on the toilet chart? Oh, you didn't.
I haven't looked at the chart, but I can't remember if I asked that question of the plumbing inspector or not. But one last thing, so I asked him about a tight tank,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he said that's a Board of Health
Yeah.
question.
Do you know if the EP has a issue on tight tanks?
No, it was interesting. I did some research on that and right now their website at least just has two allowable alternatives to regular Title V systems.
Uh-huh.
And one is the composting toilet that you can do at least without you don't have to get a special permit for that. I mean, they've already pre-approved, allowable composting toilet. The other is a circulating sand filtration system, I think, which requires a water source. So in that case, you might as well just put in a regular, Title V system. But those are the only two that, that they've approved, although tight tanks, a number of
They are
the
part
lake
of-
have tight.
Oh, yeah.
tanks.
That's part of the
So-
Title V.
Yeah, so that must be in a different part of the regulations. It's not in the
Right.
alternative,
Right.
to regular Title V section. So, but obviously they're
we
approved.
have them in town.
Yeah, they could be approved. I don't know if they
Right.
would approve for this, but
Yeah.
anyway, as you found out, Stephen, Board of Health is a real key for,
Yeah.
all of these decisions.
Yeah, and we might want to invite them.
We have to talk to them, yeah.
Yeah,
And
They've
they would have a
also-
lot of information
Yeah,
for us.
they've
that
also
we don't
seen
have.
systems. They've seen a
Right.
lot of systems
Yeah,
at the lake and
exactly.
stuff. I have some experience.
Yeah.
so we can kind of assume that we're gonna need at least one bathroom there, and regardless of what we end up doing with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that it's gonna have to be a Title V compliant system.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said last time, in my opinion, having a water source, Title V septic system, and one or two bathrooms, and that's almost like a minor consideration whether you have one or two at that point,
Right.
because of the total cost of everything else, the water and the septic system. So
So there is,
second bathroom space wise might be an issue, but
Yeah.
like cost wise, it probably not a whole lot more.
there is water on the town common, so the church,
Yeah.
there's a well there, but I don't
And
think
that well used to serve Old Town Hall.
it,
Going across.
so probably sufficient, although it has PFAS. We know that,
That's also just a shallow
shallow.
well. It's
Yeah,
it's not a deep,
they had
yeah,
problems with it.
yeah, right.
that were-
yeah. And there may be new, regulations
Right.
for a municipal, use that a private church does not have to abide by. I don't know, but
Oh, okay.
And
that's a-
originally, when it was considered to put the library over there,
Yeah.
they were piping it across from here, right? That they were using
Oh,
this well and piping it over
Oh,
the street.
okay.
I think that was the last
Yeah,
possible
oh,
scenario.
okay, so water from here.
yeah, so we're talking about some big bucks for,
Yeah.
water and septic, obviously.
And I think, that I have heard people say that one of the issues over Spear Library site is that there might be some serious underground rock.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, I was noticing one of the maps, I was looking at it.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty general, but it's like, oh yeah, I see, that could be. And so that could pose a real problem for putting anything
Tank type.
in the ground.
And we don't have, there's not a lot of room. I mean, you end up being on the town common, and then the use of the town common is really, is limited by statute. I mean,
Right.
we can't start messing around there, so,
I would think
but behind.
if you
it,
could put a tight tank in.
Yeah,
And, it's not prohibitively costly to install it off to the downhill side, if you will. there's a little bit of space.
Hmm.
I mean, kind of.
On the east side of the lens.
They always,
Room there?
and towards the north.
Kind of where that propane tank is stuck in the bushes.
Yeah,
With what stuff in the bushes?
Propane tank
Oh,
up there.
okay.
which when we get our grant, get rid of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So regardless, it seems that doing that, regardless of use, it seems like doing that, assuming that we would need a bathroom over there, doing that research and starting to put some maybe dollar signs to it, would be a good thing to do next.
Trying to remember, Stephen, and I should know because I was crawling in there a couple
Yeah.
of times underneath, when I did that window
Yeah.
repair. Was that basement space, on two different
Right.
levels because of ledge? Is that may be the case. That's maybe why I had to kind of crawl across that narrow part because it was ledge underneath there.
Certainly possible,
Yeah.
but a lot of times, in older buildings, the basement would be there to put, say, your system in, so they had the floor, that
Right.
furnace.
Right.
And the chimney, for that. And then, you don't need to dig anything else out.
Right.
Uh,
So they only
but-
did as much as they had to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was easy to dig in the crawl space, that would be one place to check, but that's not where it's gonna go, so.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I suspect that there'll be a ledge issue,
Yeah.
which is probably going to affect a tight tank,
Yeah.
installation and a, Title
Right.
V system as
Right.
well. So there's a bunch of research to do, I guess, Rita is
Yeah.
suggesting.
And earlier, several years ago, when the buildings committee was talking about possibility of a bathroom in there, one thought was, well, could you run the waistline from there across the road all the way over to tie into this system? But you'd have to again calculate the load that this system is handling and whether or not it could handle the additional load. Plus, I mean,
Pump, probably. I mean, it wouldn't gravity feed across
would.
the road.
well,
It would.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah. I mean,
That's a long way, though.
Yeah.
well,
More money. Yeah.
yeah,
Big bucks there.
yeah, but it could be just as costly
Doing it over there.
tying it in. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would we move forward on this? I'm just thinking about, who's the expert on
Well, typically,
septic systems and bathrooms and water and.
yeah. Well, again, Board of Health, would be a good place to start, but typically, if you were going to put in a system at a home, you'd have
Get
a
sanitary
perk
engineer.
test done.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first things we would need to know. I mean, can we get any kind of system over there?
Well, a tight tank doesn't need a perk, right?
Correct.
No, but it would need blasting, probably,
Right.
if you got ledge. So yeah, we'd still want to know, what's underground there and whether
I
it would
wonder,
accept it.
Clark, W.W. Clark knows the town pretty well. Wonder-
And I don't think they've done any activity up there.
Yeah.
They're digging around in there.
Whoever did
Maybe
the
when
addition to
Julie's-
the ramp in the bathroom may
Or-
have had a insight.
Or who did Julie's house when she built her new house, which is just, well, that's kind of behind the church. They tell us. So maybe for the next meeting, we see if we can get somebody, we have Kat or something, maybe somebody else from the Board of Health come and attend our meeting.
I think we're ready for that.
Talk about some of the basics. And then I guess my question is whether there's, somebody who does septic designs / perk testing who might be,
That costs money.
you might want to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know how far the library, how far it went when the what was contemplated about putting the new library there. If they ever had any experts, I could check with Mary Ann.
Yeah, good
And
idea.
see.
Yeah.
There's a guy, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, he lives on Shutesbury Road in Pelham. Rick Scott?
Rick Scott, yeah, he was
Yeah.
he did our design for our very first house. so
Oh, did he?
Way back in
Yeah.
the eighties, so.
Still
he
alive?
may-
He's still alive. I saw him now walking and running on Shutesbury Road. He's retired,
Yeah,
but maybe maybe we could get kind of as a freebie, because otherwise I think we're starting to talk about some significant money.
yeah,
We could see. Janet, his wife used to babysit for Maggie.
oh,
How many years ago? 36 years ago.
yeah,
But, I could call Rick, I guess, and just
To,
say,
walk through an exercise where we roughly say what the options are, so that we have a sense of if we feel like there's no options in certain categories, then we're done with that. But, so
you mean
for the
options for
sphere,
septic?
well, no, I just want to say the rough options. So the first option is meeting space, no toilet. That's the one. The next one is offices
Toilet.
and toilet. And in that, and then it's department, police department
Yep,
and toilet.
toilet.
And
Can I just, stop you there? So this assumes we're not needing to do a gut rehab for any of these.
all of it, right? All of these are
No
not
sphere,
breaking into.
no,
code.
no gut rehab to bring it up to current code.
and toilet, when you say toilet, we're talking about the whole thing.
Yeah, water,
and septic.
Right. Yeah, we're not, I think we're not talking about composting toilets anymore. Those are the ones, right? Those are the possible.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I'm thinking about when you're talking to town meeting, you're saying, here's some options for using that space. Here's what they would require. Here's what the prices look like. And, we can always make a recommendation, but it is going to be a town meeting vote. And I feel like they need to see what the range of what we considered is and what the ins and outs of each one is.
Yeah, I mean, I see us coming with a recommendation, the select board making a recommendation to town meeting, and not having a pick from this menu, because I think.
Yeah.
I would hope at that point, we have gone through the whole process and said, this is what we think makes sense for this, and this is what it's gonna cost. Fallback is, if we're strictly doing a meeting space, then it's minimal, what has to be done there. We're doing a meeting space with no toilet.
I just feel like you have to sort of go through that exercise, because people are gonna press you. Did you think of this? Did you?
Oh,
think of
yeah,
that?
yeah,
And-
but we'll have a meeting ahead of time. I don't want to do that on town meeting floor. I think, that could be part of our public process of, including folks. So we have the Board of Health at our next meeting, and then I'll talk to Rick Scott. I don't know if there's anybody else in town who is a civil engineer. Is that who? I don't know, who would you use?
Stephen, who did the library use was that, what's the name? Who did they use to help figure out their septic
Good
needs?
question.
It's is it the company that did all the testing, and I can't.
Oh, Fuss and O'Neill?
Yeah, Fuss and O'Neill. Is it them?
I think so.
I mean, when you start talking to those guys,
I know. I just,
cha-ching, cha-ching.
but and is Alan Weiss septic? No, nobody
He's
knows.
Brown,
I don't know.
isn't he? Alan.
Oh,
sorry,
actually,
I'm thinking
Board of
about-
Health can tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about the guy who does all the water stuff, who's on Wendell Road, kind of off Wendell Road, what's his name?
Al Werner.
Al Werner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I'll check with Al.
Okay.
Because he would probably know the geology or be able to
Yeah.
help us figure out the geology of
Yeah.
that site pretty quickly.
Yeah, that would be great. So, and then that might drive us, you know what I mean? And then I guess the last, or we could, the other factor, the other variable here is on-site or across the road. Right? Do we have
The
to,
toilet, the water and.
water and the septic is, what are the advantages, disadvantages of doing it, you know, on-site / common versus, link to town hall? Yeah, it really needs to be somebody who's got some expertise in design and,
Right.
Here's a totally off the wall. What about jacking the building up and relocating it?
the M.N. Spear building behind here.
That's just another option. Yeah. I mean, David has done work with a company that paints, jacks up and moves buildings. They moved a couple out of Amherst College across town.
Yeah,
And that's small compared to what they moved. It maintains the building and you could just bring it to where the water is. Right.
And you
Don't
could,
bring Muhammad to the
and-
mountain,
and you
bring the mountain
could,
to Muhammad.
and you could put a full basement. And do it in a way that it would be usable space.
You know, just as a little tidbit of a sidelight tidbit here. Our first house that we bought in Northampton back in the early
Dark ages.
80s. So up near Smith College, it had been moved in the late 1800s
Yeah.
from like Massasoit Street, just, you know, down the hill, a couple hundred yards with horses.
Yeah,
This was a big house, you know, with horses in the late
Yeah.
1800s.
and aren't there even houses in?
All the
that-
Quabbin stuff.
Quabbin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can just say it. That was a Quabbin building.
Right.
That's intriguing,
Yeah.
and that's an intriguing,
It was the with horses part that
yes.
Yeah.
amazed me. I mean, the ones in the and you know, you see the pictures of the big bulldozers,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
carrying them out and so
Yeah.
forth, but horses, wow.
Yeah.
Such a pretty building. I hate to, was it like when we had talked about, okay, we put the new library behind here and I remember the MBLC said, oh, we want it to be visible
Yeah.
and all of that, but you know, it's, you could have a little town common behind here. and
Yeah, that
it was,
Could be the police department, but
yeah,
anyways, that's something that,
So when we start talking with people, you know, especially design, you know,
Mhm.
type people, engineers, for input, they're probably gonna wanna say, well, you know, how many people are we talking about? You
Right.
know, those charts that you talked about, Stephen, you know, where are we on that chart? You know, that, so those kinds of questions we may wanna think through a little bit, just in
Right.
terms like, well, offices, how many would we have? How many people are we talking about?
right,
You know, police department, we could pretty much, you know, tell them, but
yeah.
just have some rough figures at least so they would know where we land on the chart and
Right.
how that translates to cost.
I think it would be relative, under 10. So I don't know what the thresholds are for,
I'll see if I can track down this
Okay.
too.
So you'll talk to Al Warner, I'll talk to Rick Scott. Somebody want to talk to Kat, or you want me to talk to Kat about?
I'll talk to Ken.
Okay, about coming to our next meeting,
Yeah,
where we are. And Haley, did you have something?
I have, couple considerations. I also wanted to talk about the food pantry idea, because that's actually the main reason why I'm here today. But I did thinking about, you know, if that becomes office space at M and Spear.
Yeah,
I've worked in places where my staff are on different levels, or they're not all in the same place. It is a lot harder operationally.
Yeah.
To like get that kind of direct, like I could just go to Gail's office or go to Alan. That's one thing. But as far as the food pantry goes, I have been working with COA, Mark Ellis, and a couple folks on the PTA. So the school right now is doing, like, they package up donated goods and they give them to families in need. What they're doing is exceeding their space. Basically, they're doing it out of their admin office and then it's taking it too much for them. I thought that, and the church also does its own collection.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, combine forces and really effective for the COA because I guarantee you there are a lot of older folks in town who either cannot get to the grocery store or cannot afford it. It has minimal space needs, but I did think that that could be a component of a meeting room at Fleet Sphere. You know, obviously we would do a donation drive for, like, you don't want to leave food out for critters. You know, need some shelving and stuff like that, but that could be a once or twice a month event that would just require some storage space at the end of the year. There's not really a good location at town hall, but it was something that everyone agreed is a need that could be met in the community.
Okay, good, thank you. That's on the list. Okay, so let me do my report back on, I told you about Mary Ann and the discussion about the new library usage. So Mass Save, Frank McGinn, happened to like call the Mass Save people at the very right moment. And they said, I don't know, I think you talked to him on a Friday and he notified us Friday night that, oh, somebody can be here Tuesday morning, the following Tuesday. So that happened last week.
Oh, my goodness.
But it was, what it is, they send somebody out to look at this building and to look at the library. They took a bunch of pictures and they are writing something up now. And this is all, I mean, there's like this convergence of discussions because there's a bunch of, there's some money that's going to be available through Green Communities. There's also MVP. There's stuff coming up this, you know, early 2026. And there's one application that's due in February. So we had a joint meeting. I don't know who was there the other night, if anybody's
I was there.
Oh, you were there, Stephen, too. You know, it's really ambitious to think we could pull anything together for February. But, you know, there's another round of like up to $1 million with an application due in August. So
Which one was the one in August?
the one in August
Green-
was the Green Communities. The first one was the bump up. What is it called? You guys remember? Not-
Climate leader status.
Climate leader status, yeah, through that we're just getting that. And there's money for schools too. So the school is all, I mean, it was great to have everybody there sort of just brainstorming about you know, how we work together. So we will have something from Mass Save. Frank wasn't sure about the timing. He was getting back with people. His, you know, what he said just from the, you know, quick tour that they did was they basically said the MN Spear Library is kind of like a piece of cake to electrify, you know, because it's like relatively tight building and you could.
I mean, turn into electrical sources of heat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. And so that will be coming forth. I think the timing would probably work well because we're gonna, you know, we need to do this sort of other septic, water. And maybe by the time that's done, we'll have some more information. I think, you know, they took a look at this building and we'll do the same thing in giving a proposal together about what could be done, and then we'll see what money's available. So so we're moving on that front and coordinating with the building committee and with the energy committee too. The other thing that you have in front of you is I had a conversation with acting police chief here yesterday. So there's all kinds of issues with these departments. And ever since the Post Commission was put into place, what the state has wanted is to professionalize police operations and have uniformity in every sort of aspect of policing. And they actually, address things such as the space that the police department is in. There is as he said in the first paragraph, there is a carve out for communities of less than 5,000 people now to not have to have holding cells. I mean, that's a whole level of, additional complication. But that right now, one of the things that our police department does not have that they really need and makes sense is a booking area. And I think he told me that the booking area in Leverett is like 10 by 12. It's a separate space, 120 square feet, a separate space where if somebody's arrested, you can, book them, whatever is involved in booking. Fortunately, I've never been arrested, so I can't tell you what a booking is like. Anybody here?
Raise your hand.
He said right now what they do is if they book somebody, they have to bring them to Sunderland or to Leverett, which is really not. He did say that when you're booking somebody, you typically want another person around. So he said if he was alone and he was booking somebody, he might go to find another department where there was coverage. Sunderland always, has 24/7. There's somebody there, so brings people there. So there's this police accreditation commission, and there's like two levels. There's certification and then accreditation. And the certification is like a, is sort of entry level. And then if you go for accreditation, it's far more rigorous. So there are no definitive guidelines right now around what has to be in a police department offices. But this, the only thing we could identify sort of immediately is that booking area space. The other key, which, we currently have, we have an evidence room, that narrow closet. It's totally inadequate. It's supposed to, you're supposed to have sufficient space to hold on to records for, I think 3
to 5 years.
Yeah.
It says.
And it has to be secure, and it has to be, no public access. Like he let me peek in the door and then he quickly closed it.
Yeah.
And, so you're really not, because evidence is evidence and nobody should be getting near it, touching it. So that's something, and obviously environmental controls. So I think the last paragraph, small lobby, cubicle area, chief's office, booking and processing room, evidence room, interview room, utility and storage, and a restroom that's ADA compliant are the key elements in any space. When we look at this building, we have, or this space, if we were doing some sort of conversion, the square footage, we're on a lower level, the square footage of 600 plus the closet is quite a bit bigger than what the what they currently have, which I can't remember the exact number, it was in the 300. Where, and something square feet. That is. So it's conceivable that,
Well, currently, I think they have around 340 square
Yeah.
feet
yeah,
and the
in the
closet
closet.
and the
So-
new space.
The new space, if it was here, let's say 600 square feet plus the closet. So there's, that you could do, if you take 120 off of that, so you have 480, if you have a booking area. And, sounds like you'd need soundproofing. So the other issues that I think, Devin had mentioned when he was here at our last meeting, and which he talked to me about too, is privacy and,
And this constitutes a private entrance,
yeah,
doesn't it?
that's,
Yeah,
yep, that's
not, and I think he's saying that thing is not private, but what this is, that's what we
Yeah,
went through.
yeah. So,
looking at.
he said to me, if you're, like, people coming in and out of a building or in a parking lot, if you have other activities going on, like, they're arresting somebody. But, I think that could be addressed. It becomes an issue if you're on the town common too. People being able to pull into that parking lot, and you can't ever, I don't know, in Amherst, I bet they have a garage or something that they.
Yeah,
They do.
They do, they have a garage,
Yeah.
but I think what he's saying is that that's not sufficient.
But if work was done outside,
To,
so
like,
if there was a
make the-
privacy fence, yeah, I mean, you could,
Steve offered.
yeah,
offered that one.
You could even have, a privacy fence. And then you could
And
actually
parking.
have one of those gates that opens
Right.
and closes so
Right.
that you could, if you're bringing somebody in, gate opens, you pull in your police vehicle, shut the
Yeah.
gate, nobody has
right.
clear,
Nobody has-
I mean, and like you
It's
say,
more private than.
yeah, across the
here.
street would be
Right.
much harder to create that.
Yes, yeah, but we could do that by doing adaptations outside of this building. Again, cha-ching, there's always money
Right.
involved in whatever we do.
Right.
So we both have to consider,
Right.
cost and what are you getting for the dollars? But that was really helpful to have that conversation and to get kind of a better idea. Again, I think we have work to do just generally before we make any kind of recommendations, work to do on costs around water and sewer. The only other question I think I have for you, Stephen, is the way the library is right now, the Spear Building is. Would you have to do anything around insulation or?
Well,
Let's if it's
we
meeting
would,
rooms or,
well, and I mean, I'd have to look at the inspection report, but the insulation in the attic space, that's blown in cellulose. And that's not at a level you want. That could easily be improved. The area in the basement / crawl space, it was fiberglass bats, it was stapled up to the floor joist, and the mice have permeated it and it's partially collapsed. I mean, you remember some of that. So I think the remedy there would be you take all that out, you put up rigid insulation, and then through that you do dense packed cellulose. But yeah, we'd want to do that.
you didn't have like, we wouldn't have to gut the building.
No, I don't, yeah, I mean, the return, the payback on opening up the walls and insulating them,
Yeah,
and maybe stripping the siding off outside and insulating the outside, would be the payback would be so far into the future.
Yeah.
That in my mind, it wouldn't
would
be of
help
value
it.
unless somebody was saying, hey, we'll give you all the money
Right,
to
right.
open it up.
Did the Mass Save person evaluate insulation?
Yeah, they went,
They
through
did.
they went
In the
through
attic
a
and-
spear building, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yes.
You know, if they tried to assess the walls?
I wasn't there,
Yeah.
so, I can't answer your
All right.
question, but I think we're gonna have a report from them. I mean,
Right.
they were pretty thorough and looking at that. And the only other thing I forgot to mention, I think, was mentioned by Devin Pelletier was, Windows is privacy and, I think we talked about that,
Yeah.
you know, being able to deal with, again, having a private space, but having enough light. So that concludes, oh gosh, it's after 12 o'clock. Sort of our agenda. I think we've talked now about what we do at the next meeting. We'll see where we are with Mass Save stuff. I wouldn't anticipate we'd have anything back from them yet. It's actually a company. It's not called Mass Save. It's called, I mean, Mass Save contracts with a private contractor. It's called Energy Source. And so they, you know, they'll let us know too, whether or not we can get access to any money
Oh, yeah.
to do that. And basically what Frank said was that they, we can use all the data, everything that they've collected to write the grants. So that's, you know, so if we focus the next time on just, you know, updates and then focus on the whole question of water and sewer. Then I think we're kind of making progress. And then the usage kind of comes last because once we deal with water and sewer at the MN Spear, if that's the direction and we're gonna go, or if it's just so prohibitively expensive, we might say, okay, we're gonna not mothball the building because we have to insure it, but we're only gonna use it for special events and meetings. But if we want to use it, then we're gonna have to deal with the septic and what is that gonna cost? And Susie, I find the idea of like exploring, moving the building and treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should,
Cost of.
and I'll find out what that cost is.
Yeah.
I'll,
In the backyard, yeah, I know, we got a big space. It's pretty wet back here, if I'm not mistaken. But we also have the solar panels and we have the broadband, hut,
in the propane,
yeah.
Yeah, but
so-
I'll find out what the ballpark cost for moving a building is.
Yeah.
Because it's not only moving it, it's
Get a
Hooking up
foundation,
the water
right,
and the septic and hooking
Building
into it
foundation.
and the furnace, I believe, it somehow has to be.
so the
here.
furnace, we would end up probably doing mini splits in that building.
Oh, right.
That would be the heating source, yeah.
I mean, there is one mini split in the building.
There is,
Right.
yeah.
There's what?
There is one mini split.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I don't know that for sure, but I think that's what they
But
were talking
I
about as
think being
opposed to
able to
the,
be open to an idea like that is a good process. It
Yeah.
may not be the answer, but it's
Yeah.
another.
yeah, no, I think that's good.
Stephen, can you tell me what the approximate square footage of Spear is? I'm trying to remember from. our previous
All I can
conversation.
tell you is it's 900
Yeah.
square feet.
About 900.
Might be a little more than that.
That includes the bathroom. Yeah,
As far as I know.
yeah, pretty sure that's the
I mean,
number.
that's what Mary Ann's said in the past. I've never measured it.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about meeting time.
It's a Thursday, then we have Christmas on Thursday, then we have New Year's on Thursday.
Want to meet the following week, the first week in January, is that? Oh, wait, Paul.
February. About the 10th. So the 8th of January?
I'm going away on the 12th of February.
So
January 8th.
January, let's do January. We can, if we can get a couple of meetings in January, that would be great.
January 8th at 10.
What day, is that a Thursday?
Yes,
Okay, January 8th. 30, that good?
it's good.
And, great. Well, thank you all. Like we've made some progress of having this steep. Wonderful.
Good.
I
Yeah.
don't think we need to do any reconfiguration of any of these walls right now. That would come
No,
later.
no.
Yeah. Okay, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All those in
Almost
favor?
aye.
July.
Lions eye.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. This is my first meeting of 3 today here.
Yes.
Kaboom. What do you need? Oh, great. Thank you.